I'm going to be using this. They don't pay me. They didn't ask me to use their product. It's just a product that I like. I've been using it for a while. I know how to work with it. I think it works really well. So let's start making a face. I'm going to, it's open as you can already see. However, I did pull it out of a baggie that was sealed closed within another baggie that was sealed closed. The stuff does tend to dry really fast once you start. I do recommend, you know, keeping it in a baggie because it will dry out eventually. I have a decent sized chunk here. Let's see, what do I got? I have a key right here, so you can see how big it is compared to my car key, the chunk. I'm gonna take it in my hands, roll it. This is my third take with making the videos. I might do 3 different videos on how to do clay faces. I'm not sure. Right now I'm just kind of thinking out loud actually on how this is going to proceed and stuff. So it's a ball. It's got a couple lines on it. I'm going to smooth them in as best as I can. Press it down, round. Try to keep it curved at the edges, like a chocolate chip cookie. Like the ideal chocolate chip cookie with crunchy edges. Pressing it down. This face you can use for many things. This particular face is going to be used for a spirit doll. People who have taken my class know what the spirit doll is. I'm going to make sure that some pictures are inserted. Probably right about here. And still, I'm continuing to shape my cookie. I'm turning it into more of an oval shape. Pushing around the edges. I'm going to put my clay in the baggie, like I said, because I don't want it to dry out. It's probably going to be really loud. Okay, so my favorite tool is an Exacto knife. It helps to wet it. When I create, I like having things perfect. It's not too perfect. I mean, try not to get anal about it. Try not to let it hold me back, or just try to create anyway. But creating is more of a meditation for me, and I like to have nice music in the background. I'm gonna see if I can get permission to use some music that I like in the background. Creating is about being mindful, I think, of the process. So you're not thinking about tomorrow. You're not thinking about what you have to do later. You're not worrying if your project is coming out okay. There we go. Here's the face. Nice shape for a face, I think. My car key, I'll pull it over again. You can see how big it is. It's a little bit of water. I'm just gonna. Alright guys, so there's your shape. It's, you know, it's relatively, my hand covers it, but I've been told I have small hands. And now I need more clay, so I have to get some on my baggie. I'm just going to fold it over and put that over there. From this, I'm going to start the nose from this amount. Roll the ball between your hands. A little bit of water, but you know, if you have too much water, when it dries, it'll be wrinkly or cracked. So you don't want to add too much water to it. It's important. I try to let my students know that it's not a good thing to add too much water, just enough to keep it wet. You'll get to know as you play with the medium. So here's my nose. It's an interesting shape. I like it. I'm going to pinch it off right about here. And yours isn't going to look exactly like mine. Yours is going to look like yours. We aren't the same people. We aren't going to make the same face or style of face. I'm going to do a little cross hatch here on my back. I'm going to wet it. This brush is one of my grandkids. They left it behind, and I did ask if I could use it, and they said okay. So I'm gonna put the nose down. I'm gonna push it in a little bit, start rubbing it in. I'm gonna pick up that brush. This brush has the consistency, I'm pushing it in. This brush has the consistency of those stenciling brushes that everybody used to stencil their walls with back in the 80s. If I get quiet on you, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of focusing in on my creating here. And just push that in there, smooth it. There. This little piece right here, my tip here, it's about this big. I'm going to take it, I'm going to make the nostrils, make 2 balls. I'm going to try to make them about the same size. There's different ways to do that, but you know, eyeballing it is pretty good, and we're not trying to make her face perfect right now. We're just trying to make a nice face for our spirit, nature spirit doll that you can hang on your wall. It's not really one to play with. See, I'm using my fingernails to scratch that. Make it blend in. Push it up a little bit. Sometimes it's helpful to look at a picture just to see how faces look. I mean, we think we know what a face looks like, right? But take the time to study a face. If the clay feels like it's starting to get a little dry, add a little bit of water. Not too much. Again, because when it dries, the face will crack. You may like that look. Alright, not so bad. I'm taking this piece right here, pitching off about that much. I'm going to roll it again between my hands. Make it off. I'm going to add the brow. I'll wet it a little. You want to give it room for hair. You know, you got to remember the nose is in the middle this way, the eyes are in the middle this way. I'm just making a brow. There, smush that in a little. Add a little bit of clay right here so the bridge of the nose. If you want to have more up here still, remember you're going to need a place to have the hair coming out of the head if you're adding hair later. Okay, you could add eyes at this point. These eyes came from Amazon, and they look funny now, but you add pieces to them to make them, you know, to make the eyelids and stuff like that. But I want to make one with her eyelids closed. So I'm going to take a little bit of paper clay. I'm going to roll it, roll the ball. I think I hit my camera there, so if it's shaky, I apologize. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to put the eyeballs in there. Ooh, that's too big. Let's cut that in half again. There we go. Perfect. I'm going to put the eye in there. Another eye in there. Push it down. And remember, the eyes are about halfway between the top and the bottom of the head. I'm going to take my brush and push those eyes down. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna carve out that nostril a little bit. Be very careful when you use Exacto knives. Probably shouldn't have to tell you, but they're sharp. I don't think I've ever gotten myself an Exacto knife yet. I've gotten myself with all kinds of stuff, but not Exacto knives. There. I'm going to take this piece here, I'm going to roll it. I mean, if you've left it out, you could tell that it's drying up a little bit, which is fine. So I'm making another cookie. I'm squishing it between my hands. It turns round. Over here, I'm going to flatten it a little more. Okay, and I'm going to cut it in half. I'm gonna cut it in half this way. See how I did that? And I'm going to cut it in half, cut the triangle off of it. Each of these are going to go under the eye. And now I'm going to put that in. I'm going to smooth that. And I might get quiet here, so if you want to pause it and do the same, or we can just work on it together. Pushing it in with my brush. Well, for me, working, I know everybody's drawn to art for different reasons, but for me, at this stage in my life, when I'm focusing on this, I'm not focusing on other things that are going on in the world. I'm getting lost in creating, and I'm thinking about ways to smooth, noticing the feel, if it needs more water, adding dimension. I'm creating like a slip too. A slip is like part clay, part water. It's kind of like a glue. So as I'm scraping away clay that I don't want, push it up at the corner. There. She definitely has some bags under her eyes. I'm going to take this and this piece. I'm going to put them here on her. I'm going to push those in with my brush, smooth it out, make some nice cheeks. Smooth that. I'm going to push this one in. This stuff does dry quickly, and it changes its behavior as it dries. Which is, I guess, its behavior. right? Push that in. You got to keep room on the sides too, because we're going to be making holes to tie it on to the tree. I don't want to use glue. I don't want to use glue on my tree spirit. I like for it to be a very natural doll. If you have any questions, contact me. I will happily try to help you figure out how to work out any problems that you're experiencing. But I think once you actually get going, everything is really very self-explanatory. Using my... And before I had clay tools, the Exacto knife was my tool of choice. It's because it's what I had. I have clay tools, but I still just reach for the Exacto knife. I mean, you will see me reach for another tool occasionally. But mostly, it's all about this guy. Now, in my spirit dolls that I've noticed, that the spirit dolls that have their eyes closed definitely seem much more relaxed. I'm going to take this right here. This was the other half of this. I'm going to put it here. Now, it looks like a funny little mustache, but really, it isn't. I'm going to score here. Tell her she can speak. I'm going to start giving her the ability to speak. I know, my dolls talk to me. Okay, and I'm going to do the back of this side. Here we go. Add some water. This brush is really cool. I love this brush for this. Oh, I did it this way. Yep. And we're still not making the mouth. We're just making the mouth area. I'm going to push it down. Pat it down. Water. Push it down. Pat it down. You can do this. This is not really that difficult. It's just, it's not a quick craft, you know. Not at all. I think actually she's coming along and she's doing pretty well. I'm going to put this, I'm going to roll this out now. Just because it's in my hand and ready to go. I'm going to put it here. Move it in to make those wrinkles if you want them. It's really about the shapes, you know, it's all about the shapes and faces. Pushing it in, smoothing it out. What do you think? Does it look like a person with their eyes closed with no mouth? Sort of. Alright, here we go. I'm trying to keep room for her strings that I'm going to be putting in there. I'm going to shape the nostril. Again, I'm going to, you know, put the blade there and make sure it's clear. There's a line here. I don't want that line there, but most people's faces have that little indentation. That's it. What do you use? This one. I'm going to try to have the complete list of ingredients underneath the video. I love making these videos. I'm having a lot of fun planning them, figuring out this whole process, putting them on YouTube so you can see, to teach people how to make them. Please like and subscribe. It helps me bring you more content if you do. Okay, so the mouth, we're going to go back to this. I'm actually going to make a mouth like this. Do you see it? I'm going to push up her lips carefully. I'm just going to lift them. See how the lips are forming? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. There. Make the shape that is underneath the lip on a person. I actually really like this face. I think it's going to be a beautiful spirit doll hang on the wall. I'm Now over here I have a little tiny bead. It's glass. It's really small. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a little nose ring. I'm going to push it in to her nose. Let it dry there. I think it'll be pretty. Give her a little sparkle there. Sometimes people will put things here in the middle of the forehead to signify, I don't know, third eye, or just because it's pretty. When it dries, this is perfectly sandable, which makes it very nice. You can also add eyebrow hairs. At this point, if you really wanted to get creative, I suppose you could add some fake eyelashes. Smoothing out the... Okay, so you can use skewers for this too, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put holes, and you'll see eventually these are going to be holes to tie it onto the mask. Sometimes I use beads. I actually embed beads in there to support the holes, but I'm not doing it this time. It's not always needed. I'm just putting a hole on the side here, and it goes all the way through. I'm going to make it a little bigger so we'll be able to thread a ribbon through there later. It goes all the way through the other side. Right there. On the back side, the holes can be a little bit larger. The wooden skewer. Okay. Sure it can go through. And then put it on a cookie rack to dry. These are some pieces I made yesterday when I was first doing the video. I used pins to make these guys holes. Now, when you put your base down, you're going to want it to dry. Don't touch it. It's going to look a little funny as it dries, like different things are going to be happening to it. Don't check on it again for 24 hours. Because you're going to want to touch it and mess with it, and once you start doing that, funny things are going to happen. Just let it dry for about 24 hours. Now this one's been drying for about 24 hours. This base I'm going to use to make a little felted monster. I'll try to put the picture right about now in the film. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dig out some of the back so it can help it dry better. Just dig it out carefully, not to ruin the face. This is about 24 hours into the drying process here. Just digging out some of the wet clay. Don't want to go too deep. Oh, it'll dry a little faster.